Welcome to the Andy-Social Podcast. My name is Andy Dowling, and you might know me as that bass player in the heavy metal band from Australia called Lord. You can go to lord.net.au if you love a bit of old school heavy metal in the vein of Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Queensryche, Saxon, Halloween, and even some more modern stuff like Symphony X. You can go to lord.net.au. We're on Spotify. You can search for Lord Prog Power USA 2016, which is our brand new live album. That's nice and easy to find. And you can search and find the rest of our back catalogue on there. And we're on everywhere else as well. Easy to find. So easy to find. Lord.net.au. Now, in addition to that, I also host the Self-Starter Podcast, which is all about small business, self-employment, and freelancing. If that is of interest to you, you can go to selfstarter.com.au and go and check all of that out. You can search for Self-Starter on your preferred podcast player, maybe what you're listening to this through right now. Moving along. This week's shout-outs, as you guys know, each and every week I thank somebody that supports this podcast in a whole range of different ways. They could be buying a t-shirt, they could be leaving a review on Facebook or on Apple Podcasts or on Stitcher or somewhere on the internet. They could be liking and sharing and retweeting and recommending the podcast to people. All sorts of stuff, leaving encouraging messages, all that great stuff. So this week's shout out is for Tom Petrovsky, and Tom is from Sydney. I've known Tom for quite a few years, comes to a lot of Lord gigs, and I'm doing a special shout out for Tom because Tom is just so loyal when it comes to LinkedIn. So I always post the Andy-Social Podcast link on LinkedIn, and I'm a bit of a social media whore. I put stuff out everywhere on all the different platforms, but Tom religiously always likes all of my posts that I put on LinkedIn, which LinkedIn's always a hard thing to try and conquer, but it's awesome to get Tom's just reoccurring support there, and he's always liking my posts and showing support that way. So thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate that. When you listen to this, when you hear your name being called out, please send me a message, give me a little bit of a nudge, and I'll send something out to you in the post. Don't know what that is yet, but I'll find some interesting odds and ends around the house and I'll flick them out to you because we all love getting something in the post. So thank you very much, Tom. Now, this week's episode, this is a last-minute episode that I'm shoving in there. I've got so many podcasts coming up in the upcoming weeks, but this one in particular, I really wanted to get out ASAP. So I'm sitting in my car, in the car park in Ultimo, which is pretty much in the middle of Sydney, and I've just finished talking with this week's guest, which is Freddy Lim. Now, if you don't know who Freddy Lim is the frontman for Sonic or Chthonic, depending on who you are and how you pronounce it. Pretty much one of Asia's most popular metal bands, most famous metal bands, most successful metal bands. Just an incredible band that's done so much stuff over the years. Really, really interesting and unique band that does a lot of extreme metal styles, but puts a lot of traditional Taiwanese music and instruments into their music. And they talk a lot about Taiwanese mythology and all this sort of stuff. And it's really, really cool music. So I'll put a whole bunch of links in the show notes over at andysocial.net so you can check out the band. But Freddy is a really, really interesting guy. He is also a member of parliament in Taiwan, and he represents a political party in Taiwan, and he actually came to Australia. He's here right now, and he's on his way to Canberra to speak at a conference in Canberra with a number of different participants and politicians and all sorts there. And he's raising awareness for the independence of Taiwan. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot about the subject because, you guys know me. I know a hell of a lot about nothing. But this is really, really interesting, and it's a heavy topic. There's a lot there, and we only scraped the surface. I had a little bit of time with Freddie to sort of touch on a whole range of different things, and we're all over the shop, but in true Andy social style, I was just sort of throwing things out there as I thought of them, and it was good. It was a really cool chat, and Freddie's such a nice guy, and I think one thing to take out of this is having a bit more awareness of what other people are going through and some of the challenges that people are experiencing and pushing for. In this case, one of Freddie's big things that he's pushing for is the independence of Taiwan and separating themselves from China. Big, heavy topic, but Freddie's been campaigning this for a long time, and he's continuing to raise awareness. Now, also, I mentioned a news article in this chat. I will put a link to that news article in the show notes over at andysocial.net. So if you want to read the full story, you can go over there, click on the show notes, and I'll have a link to that article as well. It's a really important article. It's really disappointing to read. It's a bit disgusting as far as, just upsetting that people have made or made these decisions. But I'll leave that for the chat. Listen to it anyway. You can go to the show notes, as mentioned, andysocial.net, and you can read into all of that. But an amazing guy. I gave him a little gift before we started, just a little thank you thing. I just thought it'd be a nice thing to do. So I gave him a little present with, oh, sorry guys, I couldn't help myself, but I put a Lord CD in there. I know, so cheesy and lame. But I put a bunch of really sort of cheesy Australian sort of knick-knack crappy souvenirs and everything like that. Because it was Freddie's first time out here and he's literally only here for the weekend. So I thought I'll leave a little lasting memory for him. So, break the ice and hopefully he'll open it up soon and get a laugh out of the crap that's inside there. So anyway, enough of me, as always. Please enjoy this really interesting chat with Freddy Lim of Chthonic. Thank you. Freddie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you fly in today?
Yeah, arrived earlier this morning.
So, and you've been talking all afternoon.
Yeah.
And now you're talking to me.
Yeah.
So thank you for being patient.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure.
And I promise I'll be as interesting as possible. I have so many different things to ask you, but I think one of the things I'm really curious about is when you started working in Parliament, what was the hardest thing that you had to adjust to in Parliament as being a politician, being on stage and being a musician for so many years and then changing? What was the hardest thing that you had to experience or change?
The speed of how things process. Yeah, you have to be patient about everything because like in the music industry, you can see progress every day. Like if you are recording a new album, you can see how things go in every day. You can see now more and more tracks in the box now. But in the Parliament, you see progress maybe season by season.
Oh yeah.
So you have to be very patient, and so most of the time you feel frustrated. But when you look back the last few months, then you feel, wow, there's some progress. That's good.
But you have to stop and look back.
Yeah. You have to stop every few months, and then you feel, I'm doing something good. Yeah.
And is it because you're in Parliament, you've got so many different people that you have to convince and get on your side. But if you're in your band and you've run the band since day dot, you created the band, you're in a lot of control. So you can make things move quicker.
Yeah.
So you lose a bit of control.
Yes, and have to be patient and have to find the right skill to communicate with people, with other members of Parliament, and to be not like what you are on the stage as a metalhead with anger, with all the emotions. You have to be patient. You have to be calm and communicate with people nicely and convince people, but not confront against them.
Did you make a lot of mistakes when you first started?
When I first started, not that many mistakes, but I didn't realize that the media's environment in politics is quite different from the music industry. Yeah, the journalist is not people like you. Yeah, they are more like bloodthirsty.
They have an agenda.
Yeah, and they want you to say something wrong, or they analyze your words in the wrong way. They translate your words by themselves. So in the first few weeks that I didn't really realize that, but then I found out that, and so I tried to be. Some politicians, they like medias, they want to talk to medias every day, but then I just changed my way of dealing with medias. I don't want to hang out with medias all the time.
A bit more careful.
Yeah, very careful, and focus on what I'm doing in the Parliament, not be on television or on newspapers every day. No.
Yep. Do you think that having the music background gave you a bit of an advantage in Parliament, where you came from? I mean, communicating with people on stage.
Yeah, I think to be I think not just a little bit advantage, but I think a huge advantage. Yeah, because like as a vocalist of the band that touring around the world so much, that gave me the experiences that sharing the same set every day to different people. With the same energy, so you can't let the audience feel like, oh, you get bored on the stage. You sing the songs millions times, but you still with the fresh energy on stage every day. So it's like the same thing that sharing ideas, sharing your what you believe, sharing your messages with other people in political arena. You share these messages to different people every day, to different members of parliament every day, with the same energy, with the same passion. So this is something that I feel maybe some other politicians, they didn't have these experiences. So I can see that some my colleagues, that they can't keep the same energy every day, but I can.
That's good. And I think because for many years you've been very passionate about human rights, the independence of Taiwan as well. So to go into politics, you wanted to make the difference, where other people grow up wanting to be a politician and they have a different agenda. So I think you've got the passion there that you want to tell that message over and over again to as many people to tell them the story.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
What are you going to Canberra for?
I'm here. I will go to the a cultural and political conference tomorrow in Canberra in the Australia National University. Sorry about that.
Words.
For the students, and all the speakers are not only politicians but also scholars and some activists from Taiwan. So that's a conference that try to make more students and the audience to know more about Taiwan and to strengthen the relationship between Taiwan and Australia in the future.
I've seen there was a news article that I read about 2 weeks ago, and I'm not sure, you probably haven't seen it because it was in Australian media, and it was in a regional town, and they had a festival or an industry event about beef. So beef.
Yeah, I know that news.
Oh, you know, and the painting?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the local council, the government, painted over the Taiwanese flag.
Yeah, I know.
And they were very upfront and said, no, like we don't recognize, because we've got these strong relationships with China. We have to side with it. We don't want to piss them off. And I read that and went, wow, like that's really that's a big thing. It's a challenge.
Yeah, and I think I feel very frustrated that even in Australia, that the politicians are willing to trade their values for the relationship with China. It's kind of weird that you can trade lots of things for business, but can you trade values? Because that's a work of some kids in the school. The kids, it's kind of the freedom of speech that all the creators, all the artists, that you want to paint something, you want to write something, you want to write music, you want to make films, you want to draw something. Yeah. That's some value that we cherish about in a free country. Yeah. And the city councilor, the government can say that, because some political reasons that we cannot use your works because it's not fit with our policies. That's fine, but you cannot change that works. You cannot just replace what you want. You cannot just draw upon what the others works. You can just change somebody else's ideas. That's the ideas of a kid. You can't just draw on their works.
That's right. There's so much that's wrong with it.
That's totally wrong. Yeah. You should just say that. Even as a politician, I think you should just still use that work, that beef, that cow,
Yeah.
right? You should still use that cow because you ask them to draw that cow with multiple culture. So you should still use that. But if you scare about China, then you say, no, we don't want we don't want to use that cow anymore. I want to use some piece of art instead of that cow. Just go to do it. I don't agree with you, but yeah, you can do that. But you can't change somebody else's works. That's like somebody else's song, somebody else's film, somebody's painting.
That's it. It's something that's come from them.
Yeah, that come from the kid.
And you can imagine that kid in years to come will always remember that.
Yeah,
as well.
So you shouldn't do that. And yeah, you trade things with evil and make yourself go to the wrong direction.
Yeah. It was alarming to me because, and maybe I'm a bit naive, because in Australia, I think we feel like we're very free. We can do what we want, we can say what we want all the time, and there's not a lot of consequences. And we have our independence in a way. I mean, we're still tied with Britain.
But still.
Trying to chop that one off. But we live freely. And so when we see things like that, it's a shock because we go, wow, like somebody's putting control on us.
Yeah.
And then you start to see that it actually happens quite a bit. And there's a lot of agenda, and when there's money involved, then that tends to be a bit of a power play, and it's more important than people, individuals.
So I hope that the Australian citizens are aware of that, that it's not a healthy thing in a free country. Then I think people should, of course, I think the world want to make business with Chinese. We need the Chinese markets and need their investment as well. But I think sometimes we should still be very serious about what we can trade, what not. Yeah, you have to be very serious about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing that you hope Australians can take away from the message that you're trying to put out there?
I think that first of all, I hope that the Australian citizens will feel more closer with Asian countries, not just China, but also Taiwan and so many countries that actually quite closer to Australia, much more than the European countries or North America. So I hope that they feel closer with Taiwan because we share the same values, and we have 23 million people. It's the same. Same. So we can do a lot of things together. We can. There will be a lot of cooperations in the future. So I hope that Taiwan. I hope after my speech, I hope more and more people, the audience will be interested in Taiwan and would love to make more exchanges with Taiwan.
Yep, great. And with politics in general, it's such a sensitive thing. It's very emotional. People get very, very passionate about topics. And when you talk about Taiwan and the independence of Taiwan, you're going up against a big nation. Yeah. And while it seems, I don't know a lot, but I've done a little bit of research, and it seems that more and more people in Taiwan seem to associate themselves as just Taiwanese and not Taiwanese and Chinese. Yes. So it's getting better awareness. But there would still be, no doubt, a lot of people out there that don't agree with what you're saying. And do you ever feel like worried that you've got those sort of people that are against you? Or you hear so many horror stories about people are very passionate. Do you ever feel in danger when you're campaigning and you're pushing your message out there?
Very rarely, not that much, because I think most of the people in Taiwan, I can feel that even they don't agree with me with some ideas, they still like to hang out with me as a person. Okay. So I even in the parliament that I have friends in different parties as well. So I try to be who I am, be decent, and I think to the way that we want to make people agree with us, it's not about how you win the debate with them. It's more about how make them to respect you as a person. And I believe that in the future, then we can find a mutual consensus. But first of all, let's respect each other. That's my attitude. And I believe that all my friends who don't agree with me on some topics, they agree that basically let's respect each other first. Yeah.
Outside of Taiwan, do you ever feel, because I know the band's, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the band's been banned in
China.
In China.
Yeah.
So is there anything outside of Taiwan where you feel sort of that pressure, or is it just
sometimes that we got some threatenings, emails, and before when I can remember that there was one maybe in 2014 or 13 that when we before we started to tour in North America, we got some threatening emails that saying that they will kill us. They will kill us if we play on the stage. They claim themselves are Chinese students, but sometimes they have. I'm not sure are they students or not. But yeah, these kind of messages now and then happen in different kind of occasions. But I think we try to be calm and not be too overreact to those messages. Even my speech tomorrow in Canberra, as I have been acknowledged that there are some Chinese students saying that they will come to protest. I don't know. But I'm not sure if they will come or not. But most of the time they don't come.
Okay.
They just want to send emails.
What do you do to sort of overcome that? Because if you're thinking about, for me, if I'm thinking about tomorrow, I'm going, oh man, like I hope it goes well. But I mean, you're used to this now. You've presented in front of people. You've been on stage, of course.
Yeah.
How do you work through that?
Like when I meet all those people who are not agree with me on some topics, I go to shake hands with them. I do that a lot. So, and to calm them. And it works all the time. I don't know if it works tomorrow.
But you try.
Yeah.
Your band, everyone that's in the band seems to be really focused on helping other people. Teaching music, recording other musicians, women's rights, human rights, a lot of politics. Where does that all come from? Because if I'm in a band and we're all so different people, and sometimes some people think about themselves, some people think about others, but you've got a very interesting mix of people in your band. It's unique.
I think that's because that's a thing that can 这是一个可以传染的东西是什么啊？它是可以传
Contagious?
Yeah, it's some. 然后它会一直往正面的。
It's a positive effect.
Yeah, it's a positive effect.
It's a positive effect. So I do something positive, and then you feel it and you want to do something positive.
Yeah, the members will affect each other, and things going better and better. So if there is a member that, for example, if I started a topic about how to help others in some issues, then this discussion start, and then everybody will start to, all the members will start to think, what we can do. So it go to the positive direction. So when these kind of topics be in the band more and more, then this kind of positive direction become more and more. So I think it's just coincidentally in some key moment that maybe me or some member started this positive message discussing, and then it just goes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Since working in Parliament, have you learnt things that you've then gone back to your band and used things that you've learnt in politics that have helped make your band better, or the way that you all talk to each other or structure things? Because it's a business, isn't it? Your band.
No, I don't think so. I think I keep I leave I remain all the negative emotions and express them in music.
In music.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, has all the politics influenced the music since being in politics? So has the music changed a little bit and had more fire?
I think our new album will coming out will be coming out later this year in October. Then I think it will have different kind of feelings than just angry.
Yep.
Or our music used to be carry anger and sadness, but now I think people can feel different complicated emotions in the music, and because I have faced quite a different life. I have been through quite a different life in the last 5 years. And not just political, in political arena, but also myself. I got a newborn baby last year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I didn't expect that my father passed away last year as well.
Wow, okay.
So I got so many different kind of emotions and been through quite a different life last 5 years. So I believe that the new album, people will feel some associate with the music as well. They can still find some messages about Taiwan, but they can find some emotions about themselves
Human
as
things.
well. Yeah.
That's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
That's so much. I mean, having a child, losing a parent, the politics, the music, there's so much there.
Yes. So I didn't expect that I write all the new songs quite smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that I used to need like more than 6 months for preparing all the materials and write songs, but this time I just spent maybe 2 weeks.
Yep.
And to finish all the basic structure of the songs. I was shocked. I was surprised about that because there were so many emotions and so many things inside me. Now I didn't find out. There are so many things that I carried in my. There's a burden. And I feel released.
Yep.
That in 2 weeks I finished all the new songs. Also released my emotions. So that was some great 2 weeks.
And so that will come out in October?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You've been a part of, I guess, the Asian metal scene, if you want to call it that, for so many years.
Yeah.
And there's heaps of great metal bands all through Asia. But, I mean, what do you think, where's it going? Because, I mean, you know, there's bands that are coming out of Japan. There's bands that are coming out of Singapore, out of Southeast Asia. There's even some Chinese bands as well. And Korea as well. Where do you see it heading? So I know that you guys have put on festivals in Taiwan.
In Taiwan as well.
And you've done a lot of touring there, and you see a lot of bands. Where's it going? Is it, I don't know.
I think it's going to be more united.
Yep.
Yeah, because I can see more and more bands, not just, now there are so many bands from Europe and America come to Taiwan. I have so many years, but in recent 2 or 3 years, more bands are from Japan, from Thailand, from Hong Kong, from the Philippines, and even from Australia. So I can see that's not just happened in Taiwan, I believe in Japan, and I can see some festivals that they organize some stages that invite bands from Asia, from Pacific Asia. So I think that's quite a trend that this Pacific Asian region be more united and want to know more what's happening in your country because you are my neighbor. Yeah. So this thing used to be follow what's happening in the West, but nowadays I believe it will be people will want to will be more curious about each other. Yeah.
Playing in a band myself for years, you would look at North America and Europe. And that's it. And maybe Japan. Yeah. Because Japan always had that thing from the 70s, the Scorpions and Kiss and all that, Budokan and all that. And but apart from that, that was it. And then suddenly a lot of Asia opened up, and there's a lot of Australian bands. I know you might not know the band. There's a band from Australia called Truth Corroded.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And they led the charge for a lot of Australian bands, and they just did like a DIY. They did it themselves, and a lot of really horrible gigs and tiny, like no gear and playing in the corner of a room. But they paved the way for a lot of Australian bands and showed that it's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot of bands that want to do it. So now, like for me, and it's been a few years now that we look at North America, we look at Europe, and we look at all of Asia. And Asia is a leg that you take on as a tour, and you tick off all those places as you go.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I'd love to go to Taiwan.
Yeah. Come to Taiwan.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's cool. One moment. Luckily, I can edit this.
Yeah.
Okay. So last thing before I wrap it up. And forgive me if I have trouble explaining it, but this is something that I deal with. So being a musician for so many years and then being a politician, did you have to consciously create a new identity for yourself? So when you think of Freddy Lim, did you have Freddy Lim, the musician over here, Freddy Lim, the politician over here, or were you just Freddy Lim and that's just everything about you?
Yes, that's how I manage myself. I can't really manage two lives. And I can't really manage two careers. I try to manage myself, and then I let myself know that music and politics are the two major things that I want to do. But other than a musician, politician, but also I'm a father now. And I'm have different identities, but I'm all Freddy Lim. So try to manage myself.
Were you always that confident? Like when you said it then, it was like, okay, you've got that worked out. But did you have to go through that? Did you have to try and work that out? Was there an adjustment?
No, I just naturally live in this way.
That's good. That's fantastic. I think it's hard. I think it's hard for a lot of musicians sometimes when they feel passionate about something else, and they're worried about the two worlds combining. They're worried about the people that know them for music learning about the other things, or the other things, those people learning about the music, and then it negatively impacting it. And I don't think people should worry about it. I think people should just be confident in everything that they're passionate about.
Yeah. And respect each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know you got to play in the catch, so I'm gonna wrap
Thank
it
you.
up. But thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I am so keen to come to Taiwan someday, and I hope that this is just a little bit of help to raise a bit more awareness for you.
Thank you.
In the country of Taiwan.
Yeah, I hope to play in Australia too.
Awesome. Yeah, please come.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys. If you want to check out more and learn more about Freddy Lim and the band Chthonic, or all of his political endeavors, you can go over the show notes over at andysocial.net. Probably the best place to go. There is a whole bunch of links. There's heaps of stuff online about Freddy and what he's involved with and a lot of the causes that he's pushing and campaigning for. So go over there, andysocial.net, and check it all out. Massive thanks to Freddy. Thanks to Chris Marek for hooking up a last-minute chat with what an amazing and interesting guy. Just absolutely incredible. So cheers, Marek, and you can go and check out the previous episode of the Antisocial podcast with Chris Marek there as well. All right, we're going to wrap it up, guys. As always, if you want to support the podcast, you can do so by buying a t-shirt over at andysocial.net. You can shout me a beer via the paypal.me button over at andysocial.net. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts, on Facebook, or on Stitcher, or anywhere else on the internet, on a message board if you're really feeling a bit edgy and crazy. Sharing, liking, retweeting, tagging, recommending, sending me nice messages, all that great stuff. It means a hell of a lot to me. Thank you so much, guys. Until next week, take care, guys. Ta-ta. Larry.